Hong Kong police have threatened the head of a UK-based organisation with a near £10,000 fine or 3 years jail time. They claim that CEO Benedict Rogers is violating Hong Kong's controversial national security law. Rogers has called for sanctions against Hong Kong officials for their destruction of the city's autonomy and freedoms. Several parliamentarians from across the political spectrum have responded in support of Rogers. Lord Alton said, "This represents a significant escalation in the Chinese Communist Party regime's attempts to silence dissent well beyond its border." He called it a draconian attack, but also a testimony to the effective work of Hong Kong Watch. Foreign Secretary Liz Truss also condemned China's attempts to silence critics overseas as unjustifiable. She said, "The Chinese and Hong Kong authorities must respect the universal right to freedom of speech." The national security law passed in June 2020. Since then, it has forced more than 50 civil society and human rights groups to disband. Over 160 people have been arrested under the law, including many prominent Hong Kong activists. But Rogers refuses to be intimidated. He says Hong Kong Watch will continue to be a voice for the people of Hong Kong and the political prisoners who have been jailed under the authoritarian regime. Malcolm Hudson, NTD News, London.
Earlier, NTD's Jane Worrell spoke with Benedict Rogers about the threats he received from the Hong Kong Security Bureau.
Hi, Ben. Thank you for speaking with us. So Hong Kong Watch is a UK-based charity which you co-founded and you're the chief executive. And you've received this letter that says you violated Hong Kong's national security law. So what threats have you and Hong Kong Watch received?
Well, we've received many threats over recent years, but specifically last Thursday, I received firstly a letter from the Hong Kong police force, and then a few hours after that, an email from the Hong Kong National Security Bureau. And both of these letters effectively demanded that we take down the Hong Kong Watch website within 72 hours of receipt of the letters. And they said failure to comply would result in a fine of 100,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is about 10,000 British pounds, and a prison sentence of, one letter said between 3 years and life in prison. The other said between 1 year and life imprisonment because of violating the national security law.
And what was your reaction to that when you received this latest letter?
Well, I was shocked and surprised. I mean, I've had kind of more general threats, harassment, intimidatory letters from anonymous sources, but this is the first time I've ever had anything from the Hong Kong police force and the Hong Kong government. Of course, I always knew that the national security law, once it was imposed on Hong Kong, included an extraterritoriality clause, meaning that in theory it could be applied to anyone anywhere in the world, regardless of whether they were a Hong Kong resident or not. But I always thought that that was there in theory. I didn't actually expect them to go as far as to use it. And I'm pretty sure we are the first foreign organization to be targeted in this way. And the thing that's astonishing about it is that we have absolutely no presence in Hong Kong whatsoever. We're not an entity in Hong Kong. We don't have staff in Hong Kong. So they are really reaching well beyond their borders to try to target critics like me in the UK.